Hi everyone, this is CricketSong with Lunar Wisdom, and you're watching another tarot spreads video. In this video, we're going to be doing the spread Taurus, I have. This tarot spread and many of the other tarot spreads that I've done in this series can be found in this book, Illustrated Tarot Spreads by Filner and Schreiner. 78 new layouts for personal discovery. And this spread, Taurus, I have, can be found on page 82. This is how the spread is laid out. I don't have as much space, so we're looking at it here. I've condensed some of it so that the cards are as closely as they are spread out in the book, but okay. So this spread has 7 cards. The first card is my attitude towards possessions and money. The subtitle of this is I have. Each of the zodiac signs have a subtitle to tell you what we're looking at. So my attitude towards possessions and money. The current state of my finances is card 2. Card 3, my abilities and talents that are currently at my disposal. Card 4, the state of my sensual pleasure. Card 5, the state of my desire for excess and luxuries. Card 6, how much patience I have, my being rooted. And the last card, card 7, how possessive and jealous am I? Okay, so we're using the Rider-Waite deck, so let's flip over the cards and give an interpretation, right? So card number 1 is my attitudes towards possessions and money. Card number 2, is the current state of my finances. Card number 3 is my abilities and talents that are currently at my disposal. Card number 4, the state of my sensual desire. Card number 5, the state of my desire for excess and luxuries. Card number 6, how much patience I have, my being rooted. And card number 7, the last card, is how possessive and jealous am I? Okay, so I like to do a quick look over of the cards. I take note that there are no court cards. There is 2 major arcana. There is 1 sword, 2 cups, 2 pentacles. There are no wands. So right now, even when we talk to people, it's not only the things people say, but also the things that people don't say that tell us a lot about the person. So the fact that there are no wands tells me, it's an indicator that there is a lack of something in this reading or in this situation for this person. And this tells me that when I see wands, I see forward movement, forward momentum, things changing. You know, the energy is going somewhere. The lack of wands here tells me that there's a stagnation happening. Now, this isn't necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just what's going on. And as we look at the reading, we then determine whether this lack of movement or this stagnation is a good or bad thing, depending on, you know, the situation, the person, and all the other stuff that we learn about here. So the first card, and the subtitle is I have. So I would suggest, just looking at this, that this person that we're reading for, we're going to say that we're reading for someone else, Jane. Jane, I have stagnation would be the first thing that would come to mind. I have no action, I have no movement. I have a lack of movement or action, which again could be a good thing It's going to be subjective. So the first thing we see is my attitude towards possessions and money. And the first things that I see here for Jane would be that her attitude, when I see the Four of Pentacles, Pentacles being stability, rootedness, groundedness, this tells me that Jane is very grounded and she is very possessive of this. She is very rooted or grounded in what she has. Her attitudes towards possession and money is to keep it for herself, to save it for a rainy day, to not spend it, which again, it's sort of her holding it close, keeping it to herself. She may not have been spending money. She may be very frugal. When it comes to the necessity of spending money, she may sort of sacrifice things. She will not purchase things. She will not spend money if she doesn't need to. So there is definitely a feeling of keeping things, saving things, holding things close, not sharing things. The second card is the current state of her finances. So here I see the Ace of Swords. When I see swords, I see conflict, I see situations where there may be tension, anxiety, or stress. And when I see the ace, it tells me that this is a new situation. This is, so I would say that Jane here has a situation or has a financial predicament or a challenge. It's a new challenge and it is causing her stress. It may not be something huge, but it's a situation, especially with her perception or her attitude towards money is to save it. This new situation may cause her or require her to spend money, and that may cause her anxiety. But there is something new is happening in regards to money that is causing Jane to feel stress and challenged in this way. Conflict, inner conflict. Card number 3, we see the Wheel of Fortune. It's a major arcana card and it's reversed. And the position here is abilities and talents that are currently at my disposal. So when I see the Wheel of Fortune, it talks to me about sort of going with the flow of energy. It talks to me about listening to the signs and the omens and the messages that we receive from other people in the form of advice or counsel, or from our spiritual allies, our beloved dead, whatever it is, our gods, whatever it is we work with, trying to give us counsel or insight. It could be even our own intuition, leading us to a certain destination. It's sort of our compass. You know, are we going in the right direction? And when we follow that, we're able to manifest things for ourselves that we desire. We're able to experience the things we want to experience when we're going with the flow of energy. Our momentum is carrying us in a particular direction. Because this is reversed, I would suggest that for Jane, she is not heeding this counsel. She is working against the tide, which is causing her great stress and anxiety, which is what we see. We see that she is very possessive of her money. She is very frugal. She likes to save it. She's encountering a situation in her financial, in her current financial state, in that area of her life, that is causing her to need to spend money, and she is fighting this, which is the Wheel of Fortune is telling us that she is fighting it. She is not following what sort of the energy is leading her to need to address this and spend money in this way, but she is fighting that. She is not going with the flow. She is going against it, and because of that, maybe experiencing more stress. She's not using her abilities and her talents that she has, that she possesses, to rectify the situation. She is refusing to do this because she has the ability, she has the talent, she knows what she needs to do, but she's refusing to do this. So then the next position is the four, which is the state of my sensual pleasure. That's the position, the fourth position, the state of her sensual pleasure. Here we see the Six of Cups reversed. So this talks to me about emotions, an emotional connection that we've had in the past that may be reoccurring in the present, or it's a recollection of things that have brought us joy and fulfillment in the past. But because here for Jane the position is reversed, this is telling me that she is sort of forgetting or letting go or dismissing things that she's experienced in her past that granted her fulfillment and satisfaction in regards to her sensual pleasure. Now, this isn't just sexual pleasure, this is sensual pleasure, meaning the things that she sees, she hears, she touches, she tastes, using your five senses that you have as a human being. It's all the things that sort of titillate those five senses that bring you joy, that bring you pleasure. So Jane here is remembering what brought her pleasure in her past, the things she saw, the things she heard, the things she tasted and smelled and touched. She remembers what they are. She happily recall them, but she's denying herself these things. Again, maybe because it requires her to spend money that she is not willing to spend in order to make her feel happy. So she's depriving herself. The fifth position, the state of my desire for excess and luxuries, is this card here. And this is the Eight of Pentacles. And this is talking about effort and work that we do in order to attain the things we desire. So as witches, when we cast a spell, this card would be referring to the work that you have to do in order to help that spell's energy manifest. So for Jane here, what we're looking at is her desire for excess and luxuries is directly connected to the desire for her to do work and put in effort. So if she's not willing to put in the work and the effort, then she does not desire the luxuries or the excess that she wants. She sees a direct correlation between work and effort and the attainment of what she wants. So financially, if we're talking about money, she understands that it requires her time, her effort, and work. So there's a direct correlation for her. So if she desires something, she will work for it. She will put in the time and the effort to get it. So we have a very connected person, a very practical person, I would say here. A person who understands the physical and clearly has a good grasp of that concept for herself in her life. Card number 6, how much patience I have, my being rooted, is card number 6. Strength card, major arcana card, meaning that this is definitely a trait that is prominent for Jane. She is very strong-willed. She's a Taurus after all. Strong-willed, very rooted, very grounded. She may be physically strong, emotionally strong, intellectually strong, emotionally strong. She is very much a physical person. Everything that she relates to, she does it in a very physical way. Going back to the sensual pleasures or the senses, she is very much focused on life and the practicality of life, what money can bring her, what she's willing to spend money on. I would suggest that Jane here is not someone who frivolously spends her money on whimsical things. If you meet her, you see that everything has a purpose, and there is a purpose for everything in her life. She is not going to be someone who has a lot of tchotchkes in her house if they're not practical. She is very much rooted in the physical. She may have a hard time with imagining things. Maybe her imagination is very practical, very much in this way. And the major arcana cards being the Wheel of Fortune and the Strength. So Strength here is very much one of her character traits in how much patience she has. And the other one was in her abilities and talents. She is the Wheel. Usually she uses these to go with the flow, and she uses her abilities and talents in a very practical way. She is someone who really works with the flow of energy, is a trait for her. And the last card we see here is How Possessive and Jealous Am I? And this is the 5 of Cups. Here we're talking about emotions. The cups are definitely emotions, or the non-physical things. And when I see the 5, I definitely see that Jane focuses more on the things that she's lost instead of the things that she's gained. When we're dealing with emotions or relationships, she tends to focus, she may be more pessimistic, but I feel like because of how we see Jane unfold here, we see she's a very physical, practical person. So relationships for her fulfill a very practical need in her life. And when she doesn't seem to get what she thinks she deserves, she's put this time and effort and energy in order to have a relationship or to have something, she has difficulty understanding why she was unable to attain it and someone else was, even if they put in the same time, effort, and money to acquire something. So because she is this type of person, it's hard for her to intellectualize why someone else may have received it or enjoyed it more, because it's not a very practical or logical way of viewing things. So I do feel like Jane will get jealous, but it's when she is trying to measure herself against someone else and the exterior circumstances appear to be the same. When it relies on someone's internal emotional or spiritual beliefs that have fueled them and built momentum for them to attain something, Jane has a hard time understanding that. So that's what we see in this this spread. I'm going to pull cards from the Green Witch Tarot to show you how this might look different with a different deck, and I'll talk about the reading, if the cards would give it a different reading or not. I don't see a lot of different ways that I would interpret the cards differently. They are very much similar in their imagery. So the only card really that would be a little differently would be the first card, the Four of Pentacles. In this deck, I tend to read this talking about personal security. Where with the Rider-Waite, I focus more on holding things close. In the Green Witch Tarot, I see it as more of being sure of my own safety and security. That's the only way that the only one that really reads differently. Oh, other than the Strength card. Here in the Green Witch Tarot, the Strength card is represented by the Crone, and she also represents wisdom. So in this sense, in this position, how much patience do I have? I would say Jane has wisdom beyond her years, meaning that she'll has patience, and she sees situations for how they are, and she will sort of evaluate them with the experience that she's had, which is a little different than Strength, but still very similar. So that's how I would read this. Yeah. So if you end up doing the Taurus spread, please share how that turned out for you, or even share a link with me, because I would love to watch your video of this spread. And until next time, I love you. Blessed be.